Okay, well, on the forthcoming four-song EP, what issues do you tackle there?
Well, the song that you're going to play, "The Price of Grain," was written as a response to what happened at the Live Aid and the
What happened?
hullabaloo that went on around that. Well, it provoked within us as a band about 3 weeks of argument as to whether it was worth anything at all. Was it just white rock stars having a good time for a predominantly white audience in Britain anyway, to make a lot of money, which is just going to go the same way as all.
Yeah, that is the Poison Girls, and that is an exclusive. Actually, the only place in America that you'll hear that, right?
Well, the only place it's been played so far.
So far, because the Poison Girls brought that one with them, and that one was Stonehenge in 1985. And Richard, why don't you tell us why that one came about?
Well, I don't know if people know. Stonehenge is a Neolithic monument in Britain, a big ring of stones set in the middle of the country, Salisbury Plain. It's actually used. Salisbury Plain is used as a firing practice by the army, which is neither here nor there, I suppose. And for the last 12 years, there's been a free festival at Stonehenge every year. And this year, because it was the 13th year, if it had been held this year, it would have been legal under some ancient British law, that it would have been a legal gathering of people and it wouldn't have allowed to have been stopped. So the authorities decided to stop it. What happened was that there's a group of anarchists, hippies, punks who drive around the country all summer called the Peace Convoy, who go to all these festivals and hang out all summer in Britain, which is quite difficult to do because it's quite cold over there.
Right.
And they got ambushed by the police, trapped into going to a field, surrounded by the police, and the police went and broke up all the vehicles, arrested 600 people, and displayed horrendous brutality towards people, shooting animals, dogs and pets, breaking up all these vehicles, which were people's homes. They
taking children into care.
Taking children into care just by saying that the parents weren't capable of looking after them.
And what was the outcome of this?
The outcome of this was they also spent £4.5 million, in recession-hit Britain, policing this huge area of countryside to stop people going to the Stonehenge over the solstice, the summer solstice. They put NATO razor wire around these whole the stones, which is horrendous stuff, and it was them showing, the strength of, what the police can do if they actually want to do it. It's tactics they learned from the miners' strike in Britain of using riot police for, actually suppression of what people want to do.
I believe that because it was anarchists, punks, hippies, people who traditionally over the years, indeed in Nazi Germany, were also treated in the same way as gypsies, right? There isn't very much public response to this, right? Sort of fair game. Also, I think because it was based in a pleasure event,
and a free event.
A free event, yes.
A free festival.
Now, what's happened? One of the outcomes of this is that one of the pillars of the establishment in Britain,
an organisation called English Heritage,
is going to take over running a festival there. This is the rumor. The rumor goes, and of course, it won't be free. So, also, I just want to say that I think the story isn't over yet, and maybe one of the outcomes will be seen next summer as to what happens.
Yeah, well, we were talking there while we were listening to the record about the women who are protesting the nuclear at
Greenham Common.
Yes, yeah. And I was asking you if it had dwindled. I had the impression that it had dwindled a lot, and you were saying how that was really the media coverage that had actually dwindled.
That's right. There are still women there. Through 5 winters, there are still women there. The numbers of women come and go. It's a free site, but women are still continuing to go there. It's still providing not only a focus for the anti-war movement, but also a focus for women to get together, to leave their homes, places. It's an alternative place to go.
So you think it is effective then, what they're doing?
It must be effective. It has to be effective. When you say effective, I mean it's very easy to talk about effective in terms of, you know, changing in state terms or in big political terms. It's not stopping cruise missiles. It's not effective from that point of view. America's there, you know, but it is effective in the sense that it continues to be a challenge. And if it's ignored by the media, you know, that's well, it's you know, that just puts. For me, it puts the media in its place.
It's also the only protest movement which has really had effect on people's lives in a personal, you know, in a personal way. One of the main strengths of what's happened at Greenham Common is that it's not attempting to change the establishment or to change the macro political ideas.
Mm-hmm.
The focus of Greenham Common is to change, you know, individuals and individuals' lives, and I think that's something which hasn't happened.
It was an inspiration for a lot of peace camps, which are now mixed as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, changing the subject completely, I wanted to ask you, Vi, I know that you're a few years older than the rest of the band.
I celebrated my 50th birthday this year.
Happy birthday.
It's great.
So do you feel funny being around all these young punks?
Oh, very funny indeed, yeah.
So who formed the band? Did you form it, Vi, or?
No, we met together around 1975. We began to meet together as people, as friends in Brighton.
Mm-hmm.
And Brighton was quite a tight little place, quite a little tight-ass little place in Britain. And we met through having to deal with that and trying to stay alive there. We formed a theatre group with some other people. None of us had been interested in theatre before. I guess it was punk theatre.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't professionals.
In 75?
This is in 75. Some of us decided we wanted to work together, looking at other forms of expression. It seemed that music, which I took part in for the first time in that, which was called the Body Show, we wanted to carry on doing music. I was knocked out discovering I could sing. I wanted to learn to play an instrument. I'd never done that before. I was pushing 40 at that time, but I didn't actually start the band. It came about through us recognising each other as kindred spirits.
Mm-hmm.
We did our first gig as Poison Girls early 77, along with a lot of other punk bands.
We broke locks to get into a room underneath a church and opened it up as a rehearsal gig place.
Where was that?
In Brighton.
Yeah.
And, and that was the same energy that was going on all over Britain. We later found out that people were breaking locks and finding rooms for bands to play. And within a week of opening this place up, it was being used by 3 bands permanently as a rehearsal space. Every night bands were coming in and rehearsing, and there were gigs at weekends.
So you think it was just sort of like a certain energy that was going on simultaneously?
Yes.
So people really weren't aware of the other bands?
Not at the beginning.
As soon as someone took the lid off it, you know, they were there. The world was full of them.
If I'd known, I might not have done it. Because when I first saw some of those punk bands, I was shit scared.
Yeah.
You know, all these lads in what looked to me like, I told you I was brought up in the Second World War, they looked very, very, very heavy and macho. And indeed it was. But I soon learned that a lot of that fear generated, which I experienced, the kids were feeling as well, and it was like a way of saying, you know, we don't have to be afraid, we can armour ourselves a little.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that was quite dangerous, which is why, you know, a little while later we wanted to bring out an album called Where's the Pleasure. I don't think that you can develop the kind of trust that's needed for real change if everyone's kind of armouring themselves against each other, and it did indeed degenerate into a bit of gang warfare amongst the lads. I think that in the last few years a lot more women have joined in that kind of need for space, need to make a noise, and a lot more trust maybe can be generated because of that.
Okay, well, I want to thank you all for coming along, and you're going to play, Poison Girls are playing tonight at the I-Beam.
This is the important bit.
It's very important. And opening for them is Beat Rodeo, who I was going to play, but I couldn't find it when I went looking for it, so you'll hear what they're like tonight.
Right.
And I want to play another track off the new EP, or the forthcoming EP, because we won't have it here, and you won't be able to buy it in the stores for how long?
Well, we don't know yet.
Yeah. Okay, so
Let's track on the second side. I'll just give you a plug for, I mean, it's good to be in San Francisco, well, I mean, in Berkeley, but in the Bay Area, because we've been working with CD Presents, who are from San Francisco. They brought their last album, Songs of Praise.
They have Billy Bragg also.
Yeah,
That's right.
And it's,
is he a buddy of yours?
I haven't actually met him, but we've been working closely with people who work with him. I mean, it's quite difficult to tag him down because he does so many gigs.
Okay, well, thanks again for coming along. And what's the name of this track we're going
It's
to
called Jenny.
Jenny? This is the Poison Girls on the KALX.